morning, all. Back with CGC Sawmill. We're going to start the day out with a little run for the puppies. They like to take a run around the property, and then we will get into doing some milling today. Here we go. Go ahead. Okay, we're back at the mill today, folks. So we took a little ride with the puppies, and now we're going to get started with milling up some wood. It's winter time. We've got some snow, but today it's warmed up. We're up in the 30s, and things are starting to melt. As you can see on the roof line, things are dripping. So I actually remembered to bring my glasses. I remembered to bring water. I remembered to bring drinking water, and those are the main things that I always forget to bring with me when I come down to the mill. It's not that far up to my house, but going back and forth several times can be annoying. So let's see, we're gonna start off. Let's switch this camera around and we'll take a look at the mill. So it's in its position that I left it. It's been about a week since I milled, so it's all the way down on the floor. This was loose, right? So that was loosened up. We got her sitting down. I've got 2x4 sitting there, keep the wind from catching it and throwing it away. I had all my water drained out, right? Of both the tank is totally drained during that time, and also this line that runs all the way down through here, down to here, which is actually where the water comes out onto the blade to keep it cooler. So those are all drained out, so I didn't have any freezing issues with that. So let's see what we have going on here. So I started her up. I gave her a little gas, not too much, just to see that blade turn. Didn't want to turn. It was slipping, I expect, right on here, because this belt right here is not quite tight enough. I'm assuming that's slipping. I can feel the condensation on this belt, so we've got some water on that belt, so it may just be slipping on something. So one issue I have once in a while is when I've been cutting a lot of ash wood, which this is all ash, very, very hard wood, makes quite the fine powder, sawdust, and when I come back out, it seems to have locked up the belt. Everything wants to slip. So I don't think that's too bad, because that doesn't have that much give there. I think as that heats up, we'll be alright. See, I do have a lot of buildup on here, condensation, so I think I'm going to turn it off and actually turn this by hand a little bit and take that. This belt looks fine. See that belt there? It doesn't have a lot on it. This belt has a lot of buildup on it, which that buildup can cause you to throw a blade. So I'm going to clean that buildup off. do is I'll give this a couple turns. I want to see what that does. See, there's a lot of buildup on that. Okay, so the wind came through during those snowstorms. It got pretty windy, as you showed you in the earlier video. I had some trees blown down out in the woods. So I think my piece of sandpaper that I have down here is probably in the snow out there somewhere buried. Most likely got blown off my table and into the snow piles. So basically I can use my hand to kind of turn this around, take a layer of that sawdust off of there. So now if you see, there's not as much buildup on there. We've taken a lot of the sawdust off of that belt, so we don't have to worry about, well, we still got to worry about buildup. If there's a lot of moisture there and you get a lot of buildup, it can throw a blade on you. It'll build up on one side and push the blade either in or out, which will make it come off. So you want to watch that. Definitely this one is fine. This one doesn't have it. There is some moisture on it today because of the high moisture content in the air with the rain and the snow being out here. Alright, I think we're back in business again now. So a couple of tips that I found is I take off opposite sides first, and that gives me a good cant to start with, and then that also allows me, when I only take off one side and I try to flip that one side and push it against here, a lot of times it doesn't want to set flush to one of these, so you don't get a square cant. If you can shave off one side and shave off the other side, more often than not, it's a lot easier to actually get this to come flush with this log brace right here. And that's one thing you always want to check to make sure that you're going to square up your cant. I've messed up a couple times doing that, not getting it squared up, and then I don't end up with square lumber. Another tip that helps sometimes when you're using the shorter posts, if you actually just clamp on another piece of wood, it'll help hold this top in place a little better. Okay, we kind of canted up three sides of this. Now we took a shaving of a 1-inch board off of there. Still not decided on whether I'm going to make another 4x6 out of that or make a whole bunch of 1x's out of it, but I'll just show you this ash wood. It is such a pretty wood. It has so much character into a lot of these pieces. Just gorgeous looking wood. Don't know why it's not more popular. but it is beautiful looking wood. I know it's one of the hardest woods, so it is definitely rough on the blades. You can't do a lot of logs without resharpening your blades, so I don't think you'd want to mill much of this if you were having to buy blades and you didn't have a sharpener, because it is definitely rough on them. But it is a pretty wood. I think I might just make a lot of 1x. I have a big stack of 1x up in there of ash. I think we'll make a bunch of 1x, and maybe we could actually make paneling out of this in our basement, because we've been wanting to make some more walls, finish up some walls and stuff like that. So there's a piece there that I'll cut down into probably 1x4, or yeah, 1 inch by 4 inch that I shaved off the top. These are some I did the other day. Just pretty wood. Okay, I did forget something. I forgot to bring down gas. So I gotta go up and get some gas. Alright, so the gas tank's filled back up now. Grab my glove off of there. Typically when I fill the gas tank, I either raise it up higher so I can come in from the back side and fill it up, or I lower it down so I can come into the front side a little easier. What we have right now is we've got the blade almost at the end of this cut. So a couple little tips when you're in a position like that is you definitely don't want to start the blade while it's sitting there, because it's going to resist it a lot, right? So you should be able to push this back a little bit. If you can push that back and you don't see it grabbing that blade and pulling it one way or the other, you know you still have, there's no resistance there. In other words, the wood collapsing together is not giving a lot of resistance. Another thing we can do is keep a couple wedges over here on the table, especially when I'm doing longer logs. That resistance will fight me when they've collapsed together. So what I'll do is I'll just spread this apart. And let me get that down. Well, I'll just put that in the end. That lifts everything up, assuring that I don't have any resistance on that when I start that up. So what we have now is let me turn this camera around for a second. We have a pretty good cant, and it is 5 inches by 7 inches. I think what I want to get is some more of these 4x6s, which I could use for some projects coming up. And so what I can do is I can take 1 inch off the top, and then I'll have a 1x7, and then I can flip it and do a 1x4 off the top, and then I get that cant. Could do a bunch of just 1x's. I like the 1x6 because if I do end up taking these and wanting to shave them down, I just pop them back on the mill and I shave them down to 1x's, and they're 6 inches wide, so I'll get nice 1x6s out of those. But if I can, I will keep them as 4x6s, and then I can use them as posts if need be. Alright, so we got our 1x7 and our 1x4 out of that. As you can see, that 1x4, you can see the gap in that end and the gap on that end. That 1x4 started to curl. Typical of ash, it really likes to curl. And you can see this one that I cut off the other side did not curl, so that's telling me something about the grain. You know, there might be fighting grains inside, and you can see this one has a lot of knots in it with different grain patterns, so it might be holding it straighter than the other piece did. So sometimes you get lucky and you cut with the grain the way it and you get a nice flat board. Other times you're going to get some kind of a bow to them, or bend, whatever you want to call it, and you have to use your planer to plane them down a little farther, make them a little thinner. Alright, so we got that. That log's done. We've got, well, no, I've got this one piece that I got to make into a 1x4 here. So we've gotten out of that 2 1x7s. We'll have 2 1x4s, and we'll have a 4x6 out of that. Next up is our nice long 16-17 footer, which we are going to make a long beam out of that one, maybe 2. We'll see what we get.